Welcome to the show, everybody. My most humble apologies to the live audience. Everything went wrong. I was a technical director for the first half hour of the time we were supposed to be on the air. Anyway, welcome in, everybody. Bryce Huff is a Philadelphia Eagle. Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle. Landon Dickerson is extended. It is Howie season, ladies and gentlemen. It is Howie season. And let me just say this part of it. And remember those, I don't think they do these anymore, right? But remember the old MasterCard commercials? Remember them things, right? Where they would say, running back, okay? Running back in the NFL, for instance. Just looking at the numbers there with Saquon Barkley. Running back, 3 years, 37 and $3.25 million, up to $26 million, fully guaranteed. $26 million, fully guaranteed when it comes to Saquon Barkley. Okay, a running back, $26 million, fully guaranteed. Tiki Barber, butthurt, priceless. Giants fans everywhere, butthurt, priceless. But let's bask in just this idea for just a second here. The Philadelphia Eagles have made a big-time offseason acquisition at running back for the first time since DeMarco Murray. Now, not the name you want to hear, but for the people that are talking about Saquon Barkley's durability versus DeMarco Murray's durability, remember DeMarco Murray touched the football more than any running back ever the season before the Eagles acquired him. And let's also remember that was Chip Kelly making that decision. Howie Roseman, as Jason Kelsey has pointed out so many times eloquently, Howie Roseman was in the broom closet on the other side of the building where Jason Kelsey didn't see him for over a year. So this is not comparable at all. For the people that are also talking about why give a running back this much, Barkley, if you told me that he was going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles, I wouldn't believe you. Just as when it was reported originally by Pat Leonard of the Daily News, I didn't believe it. I thought it was the Eagles just trying to drive it up. I thought it was the agent trying to drive up the price. When Howard Eskin reported it, saying that the Eagles were, in fact, interested, I went, I don't believe it. I don't believe that it's real interest. I do not believe at all that it is real, genuine interest. And this is just trying to drive up the price point. When that, as he's better known, that clown Mike Lombardi put it out there as well that the Eagles are going to have a serious push for Saquon Barkley. I was like, get out of here. This is bargain basement shopping when it comes to the Eagles trying to get a running back. That's not going to happen. No way, no how, sir. And then sure enough, Shefty, man. Shefty just dropped it. Put it out there. And I swear I looked at this with probably a big old dumb expression on my face. Thinking, like, I was confused as all hell. Like when a dog is confused, or like, you know how their head like kind of tilts. You're like, what's going on here? That's exactly what I did, staring at this tweet from Adam Schefter. Former Giants running back Saquon Barkley reached an agreement with the Philadelphia Eagles on a 3-year, $37.75 million contract that can be worth up to $46.75 million. And includes $26 million fully guaranteed per sources. Barkley now beats the franchise tag number, and it has a maximum average per year salary of $15.833 million, which would be second highest for running backs in the NFL. NFL history. That is absolutely remarkable. I love this deal. We are going to talk about the good, the bad, and the horrific of this deal, but I love this deal. I did not think, and you guys followed me, you guys listened to me and all that stuff, and I appreciate that. I was absolutely wrong. Owning it 1,000% when it comes to the Eagles having serious interest in Saquon Barkley. I didn't think they were going to do it. Howie Roseman hasn't signed a running back like this ever. Think about this, okay? LaShawn McCoy is the closest thing, but he was already an Eagle. And then we all know how that ended. Thanks a lot, Chip Kelly. But Saquon Barkley is without question, and I have said this even over the last 2 seasons, Saquon Barkley, maybe other than Derrick Henry, is the most talented running back in the NFL. Okay? Most talented running back in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey is incredible. All the respect in the world to Christian McCaffrey. But when it comes to the run game, I understand the pass game, the receiving game, and all that stuff with Christian McCaffrey can bring to the table. But in terms of pure running back, Saquon Barkley is a do-it-all type of back. Christian McCaffrey obviously can do that too. But when it comes to running the football, I think Saquon Barkley has it heads and shoulders above Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, better all-around weapon, more versatile, absolutely. But in terms of pure running back, Saquon Barkley's on another level. And I absolutely love his game. People talk about durability. The numbers on Saquon Barkley when it comes to durability. I know this is a huge hit when it comes to that. But you look at the last 2 seasons. So he comes back from the ACL tear. Last year, he had the ankle injuries. He missed a couple of games. But still, over the last 2 seasons, he was 3rd in the NFL in rushing attempts. He was 3rd in the NFL in 20-yard runs. He was 4th in rushing yards per game and also 5th in rushing yards on first down and rushes on first down. That's pretty damn durable over the last 2 seasons. And also, let's not forget that Saquon Barkley in the NFL, while playing for the New York Giants, has had 3 head coaches. 3. And he's only 27 years old. He's had Pat Shurmur. He has had Joe Judge. And he's had most recently Brian Daboll. That's not exactly stable in the first 6 years of a running back's career. Not exactly stable. So he comes here to Philadelphia. Hey, look, I understand. When you look at the coordinator positions here, they might not be exactly stable because with this offense, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, I hope he can stay healthy too. This offensive line, which I've said many times, it might not be top 3 in the NFL anymore, but it probably still top 5, top 6. Depending on what you do with right guard, depending on Tyler Steen, depending on Cam Jurgens, who I have said many times also, I don't feel is the biggest question mark on this offensive line. I feel like that is the right guard position. Andrew DiCecco of Inside the Birds will be on the show with us to break that down. We did an interview yesterday. We aired that. If you didn't see it, we'll air it on the show today. We'll end the show with it. But this is all in all a great deal for the Philadelphia Eagles. You are getting a generational talent at the running back position. And with this offense, you talk about those coordinators, this offense takes off. Kellen Moore is going to get those head coaching job interviews. I don't think Vic Fangio wants any part in being a head coach in the NFL anymore. I think he's quite happy just being a defensive coordinator, And the Eagles certainly helped his cause yesterday as well when it comes to Bryce Huff signing here in Philadelphia. This is a name that has been thrown out there many times over, and it probably means the end for either Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick, possibly both. But Bryce Huff, what I find fascinating about this deal, 3 years, $51.1 million, according to Adam Schefter there. What I find fascinating about Bryce Huff is every bit of that dude that we love in Philadelphia. And I'm not saying the Jets fans didn't love him either, but I'm just put it like this. This guy has been knocked down time and time again. Look, there's a lot of ifs that would go into this, but if he was on that 2017 Super Bowl team, he would have been the first person Jason Kelce mentioned. All right? Nelson Aguilar can't get. Bryce Huff can't get after the quarterback. You know, that kind of. Bryce Huff, great player in high school. All these guys were that played. Great player, right? Busted up his shoulder, came back from it, was great again. Didn't get big-time scholarship offers, right? Didn't get invited to the Senior Bowl. Got invited to the East-West game, okay? Didn't get invited to the Combine. Schedules his own pro day. Gets canceled because of COVID. Doesn't get drafted. And this guy keeps on coming. Keeps on coming. Sure enough, for last year, he's able to put together a career year, a 10-sack season. This guy has been an underdog. He has been doubted. He has faced adversity, and he has kept on coming. And now he's got a $51 million deal in his back pocket. The Eagles, now this is the Eagles are giving him quite the promotion. I talked yesterday about Brandon Graham only playing about 39% of the snaps. This guy played 41% of the snaps. I talked yesterday about Brandon Graham starting, I believe it was 1 game last year. This guy has not started a game. Like this, Bryce Huff. You look over his the numbers, and you're like, this is $51 million. We sure we want to give up on Josh Sweat? We sure we want to give up on Hassan Reddick? Because he was also used as a pass rush specialist in New York with the Jets. So now he's going to be asked, of course, to not just play on passing downs. He's going to be asked to step it up and be a full-time guy. Going to be very interesting to see how Vic Fangio uses him. There are more questions for me about Bryce Huff than there are for Saquon Barkley, and I think that should go without saying. But for some people, because they want to, as the Eagles have done in recent history, poo-pooed the running back position time and time again, good Lord. There are more questions for me about Bryce Huff than there are about Saquon Barkley. I know what I'm getting in terms of the talent of Saquon Barkley. He has done it many times over. The only question you have surrounding his position, because it's the running back position, is can he stay healthy? When it comes to Bryce Huff, is he worthy of the promotion? He's had one double-digit. This isn't some overall proven commodity with a stack of years to show you how great he's been. This is a guy that has tremendous work ethic. He's got that dog mentality that we always talk about. He has certainly been the underdog. He has had a great year with the New York Jets. Is this just the tip of the iceberg for him? Now, Hugh Douglas, of course, was not an undrafted player. The Jets, were pretty high on him. Rich Kotite was pretty high on him. He, didn't really break out on the scene until he really, as he puts it in his own Twitter bio, drafted by the Jets, flourished with the Eagles. Brandon Graham was a first-round pick. We know that it took some time for him to really catch on here in Philadelphia. He had to shed that bust label that he himself admitted that he had. And now you're bringing in Bryce Huff, a guy that is looking to just show you that last year was just that tip of the iceberg. It was only the beginning of him finally reaching his full potential. The beginning of him reaching his full potential. So the Eagles gave him a huge bonus, good God, a huge promotion here. Will he be worthy of it? Everywhere in life where you have that success, it's like, oh, great, do it again. Especially in the NFL, especially in professional sport. Oh, you were that good? Oh, you were this good in the minor leagues in baseball? All right, now you're in the big leagues. Do it again. Oh, you were that great with the Jets last year when they were only using you in your specialized position and using you on both sides of the line of scrimmage. You go back to the game the Eagles faced against him. He lined up against Jack Driscoll, beat him. And now, hold on. I said the same thing. Okay, it's Jack Driscoll. Of course he beat him. But Jack Driscoll held him, and he still made it to Jalen Hurts for a sack. Then they line him up on the other side of the line of scrimmage against Jordan Mailata. He beats Jordan Mailata to get after Jalen Hurts. Had a couple of QB pressures in that as well, in that game. It's really an amazing thing when you break it down and you look back on what he's been able to do, especially last year with a multitude of moves that he's been able to use. Now, number one, first and foremost, is just, as Mickey would say, greasy, fast speed. Eat lightning, crap thunder. Like, that is what he has done. That's how he has got to where he is in the NFL. That's where he's got to this deal. That's how the Eagles look at him and go, yeah, we could use that guy. But there are far more questions that I have for Bryce Huff as to whether or not he can do it again than I have for Saquon Barkley and the success I know he will have. Yes, if he stays healthy behind the Eagles' offensive line. Now, the other thing. Again, I gave you the durability numbers there from Saquon Barkley. When it comes to Saquon Barkley running in the backfield, running out of the backfield for this team, there's this thing that we say always about football players in general, and it is that phrase, if they stay healthy. I think some people are acting like the Eagles just signed Rashad Penny, okay? They did not. They signed a guy that was 60 yards shy of another 1,000-yard season. They signed a guy that could catch the ball out of the backfield 40 to 50 times for him, which in the Kellen Moore offense is going to be something that he'll probably utilize. And for all the guys that talked about DeAndre Swift coming in here, he ain't DeAndre Swift, folks. He is better than DeAndre Swift. I don't know where the hell this talk has come from about DeAndre Swift being better. Oh, DeAndre Swift fit the scheme. No, he didn't. Absolutely not. DeAndre Swift was a pass-catching specialist that could also run the ball. They barely used him for any of those things last year. And they weren't paying him that much money anyway. Need I remind you, the Eagles were paying 3 running backs last year. 3 running backs last year for the price of 1 Miles Sanders. They got 3 guys. They were paying them. They weren't really playing them. That was the problem. Paying them Yeah, that wasn't really happening. Playing him, not so much. Saquon Barkley, far better, far more talented, and is a far more impactful player than DeAndre Swift. And when they're paying this running back this amount of money, they're going to use him. Now, you could say very simply, well, they're also paying A.J. Brown. Well, yeah, they are. And did A.J. Brown get used last year? Oh, yeah, he got used last year. Saquon Barkley is going to get used this year, whether that's catching the ball or that's running the ball. His talent will be on full display in the city of Philadelphia, which, by the way, went to high school an hour and 20 minutes north of Philadelphia in Allentown. We all know went to Penn State. We all know played for the New York Giants, and now he's going to be here in Philadelphia. I did not think this was going to happen. And I'm going to credit you, the fan. I'm going to credit you, the fan, for this happening. Because you, the fan, you were the ones chanting, run the ball, run the ball. And all the analytics that we talk about when it comes to Jeffrey Lurie and the analytics department for the Eagles, oh, man, they want to pass. They want to pass the ball. Well, you can still pass the ball with Saquon Barkley. You get the ball in his hands, and great things are going to happen. These two signings, when I got into it yesterday, somebody put it out to me in the comments. When somebody said, get over last year, that kind of thing. We're ready to move on. Yesterday, I was not. When I did the show yesterday, I was not ready to move on. And then right before I hit go with the Andrew DiCecco interview that we did yesterday, we'll play for you today. Right before then, I was like, I am not ready for this. And then as soon as I hit go, I went, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to move on. I am ready to move past the awful ending of last season. Knowing that I have Saquon Barkley to look forward to, here's the scene that played out in my mind when I started thinking about ways you're going to be using Saquon Barkley. I can't wait for the moment Saquon Barkley catches a ball on the flat from, now I'm being realistic here. I said catching, not running. Catches a ball on the flat from Jalen Hurts. And already 10 yards up the field, making crushing blocks, is Cam Jurgens. Yes, Jason Kelce-esque. And Saquon just follows that lead into the end zone for a 63-yard touchdown. That's the scenario that was playing out for me. And no, Devontae Smith is not blocking on the outside in this case. A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert are blocking. That's the scenario that came over in my head. It's like, that's going to be a beautiful sight. Because if there's anything, look, I think there's certain attributes got everybody to where they are in professional sports, like things they do great. All right. Whether it's a great release, but no accuracy, whatever it is, they ride that, quick release if you're a quarterback to the NFL. And then all of a sudden, they're not as accurate as they were in college, and they go by the wayside. But if there's anything I'm sure Cam Jurgens could do that is on not the level, but a similar level to Jason Kelce right out of the gate, it's be able to get downfield and make blocks. That's why they got him. That's why Jason Kelce was like, oh, yeah, this guy, yeah, he can get off the line of scrimmage. He can go on the field. He can make blocks. Now, the only questions I have is, can he detect the blitzes? Can he shift coverage? Can he help Jalen Hurts when it comes to shifting the blocking schemes to make sure they can pick up the blitz, unlike they were able to do against the Giants and the Buccaneers in the last two games we saw the Eagles play with Jason Kelce? Will Cam Jurgens be able to handle that well in shifting protection and all that? So those are the questions I do have. I want to see him do it. Physically, I know he can get upfield. I know he can get upfield and block. Now, to see him do that for Saquon Barkley, I'll be very excited. Be very excited when they break that out. Bryce Huff gets in the backfield, makes a couple of sacks. We'll all lose our minds. And we know, here's what I found really interesting. I went back and I watched some of Bryce Huff's highlights from last year just to get a little bit more of a feel for him. And one of the things that really jumped out to me was just something I didn't really, I guess, pay attention to with the Jets. They run a lot of wide nine. And I know some people might have horrible flashbacks to Jim Washburn. I know some people might have some horrible flashbacks to Jim Schwartz here in Philadelphia. But damn, man, if you're not going to blitz, at least have the mentality. And this is what I hated with Jonathan Gannon and even Sean Desai. If you're not going to dial up a lot of blitzes, and I think the percentage uptick in blitzes last year with this from Gannon to Desai was like 1%. At least that's what it was around the the 12-game mark going into last year or in last year. But Jonathan Gannon, Sean Desai, if you're not going to blitz, at least have your edge rushers in a position where, their hands are in the dirt. They're going to be going after the quarterback. And that's at least what you do in the wide nine. And having a guy like Bryce Huff, who is a perfect wide nine type of edge rusher, is great for his speed and his agility, his quickness. But at least have those guys in position where they are hunting the quarterback. Speed up that clock for the quarterback a little bit more. Let him know that when you see Bryce Huff, or if you see Josh Sweat or Hassan Reddick, whoever, personally, I think Hassan Reddick stays, and I think Josh Sweat gets traded. And then we kind of got into that yesterday. But knowing those two guys are going to be coming after you, yeah, that clock's going to be going if you're a quarterback. And that's only going to help Darius Slay. That's only going to help whatever safety comes in next. That's only going to help Keely Ringo. That's only going to help if the Eagles draft a corner in the first round of this upcoming draft. That's only going to help that entire process. It's only going to help your linebacking core. They brought in a special teamer yesterday. We'll get into that. Andrew DiCecco mentions that for us, so we'll get into that too. But all in all, what a way to start free agency for your Philadelphia Eagles yesterday. Please ignore me in this picture, but just look at I guess this is the right side of I guess, on your screen there. That's Saquon Barkley's Instagram. Not me again, him. For the people on the podcast, I'm showing the thumbnail for the show on YouTube. Saquon Barkley did this on his Instagram where he's wearing the Giants jersey there on the sideline, and then bang, it switches over to the Eagle midnight green. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And look. I'm excited to see if the Flyers make the playoffs. John Tortorella telling the referees he ain't bleeping leaving and not leaving, and being in Tampa and seeing some of his former players up there in the suite laugh at knowing that their former head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, who beat Keith Primo's Philadelphia Flyers back in the day in the Eastern Conference Finals, seeing them laugh at it, that was enjoyable. I do enjoy hockey. I love the Flyers. I do enjoy the sport. I'm excited to see them make the playoffs. I'm excited to see if Joel Embiid comes back. Tyrese Maxey's supposed to be back in the last time. I want to see how all that plays out. I think I know the ending, but I'm still going to watch. I can't wait for the opening day. What do we got here? 3 weeks, 2 weeks? Opening day against the Braves? I'm thrilled for it. My Philadelphia Wings. Love them too. But damn it, I can't wait for the Eagles to start their season now. And this is just the beginning. When we do talk to Andrew DiCecco, he does get into Devontae Smith, what this means for him. Obviously, what this will mean for Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick. But all in all, I'm just very excited. I'm going to get to the chat check now before we do anything else. But first, let me tell you about the great people of the Game Time app. Hey, you want to go watch the Eagles? Game Time app for the upcoming season. Use promo code Farzy on the Game Time app when you create an account. When you download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. So, ladies and gentlemen, you want to go to the game, you want to go to the concert, you want to go to the big event, whatever the case may be, download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. That's right. Also, all-in pricing, so you get no surprises at the end there. Oh, $50 in service fee. What? No. It's all, you see it. It's all right there. No surprises. But how about this? If you find tickets in the same section and row for less money on another site, on another app, Game Time app will get you back 110% of the difference. How about that, baby? Not too shabby. Plus, last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals, even ticket deals for an hour after the event starts. So you might miss the opening act. You might miss the middle act. You'll still see the headliner. That mega huge Kajunga savings on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase. How about the amazing people at MyBookie? MyBookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer at MyBookie.ag. Want to bet on the action? MyBookie.ag. Bet on the world of basketball, baseball, whatever the case may be, hockey. You can bet on the world of politics. You can bet on the world of television. Did you bet John Cena was going to walk out naked at the Oscars? That's what I heard. I didn't see him. I just saw an envelope. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, you can bet on it all at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. Download the app. Use promo code Farzy for MyBookie and get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat to check and see how you guys are doing on this fine morning. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Good morning. Oh, my God, Saquon, they actually went and did it. I still can't believe it. I'm telling you, I was when I saw Mike Lombardi, I swear this is what I thought. When I saw Mike Lombardi tweeted out that the Eagles were going to be really aggressive, my thought was, oh, they got Lombardi too. They're really pushing hard. And I'm like, no way this happens. And then I just stared at my phone. And I was like, that looks like Adam Schefter. I think that's Adam Schefter. That's Adam Schefter. Did he get hacked? I went like Adam Schefter got hacked at the open of legal tampering. I'm like, because the Eagles didn't sign a running back and give him that money. That's great. That's come on. You ain't going to get me. And no, they got me. Bleed Green, good morning, Philly fans. After sitting on it overnight, I got to say, if nothing else, I'm excited to see this offense. The first responses to my quote tweet, and all I did was say, holy Santa Claus poop emoji. That's what I said. Because I'm, obviously brilliant. Anyway, Jalen's their quarterback and waste all this talent. I was like, really? I am not it. People want to put Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts in that same category so quick, man. And that accounts for no mental makeup. No mental makeup. The reason I was like, hell yeah, to Jalen Hurts after year one, not year two as a starter, where he was an MVP candidate, I still said, yeah, prove you're the guy. But I got confidence he's going to prove the guy because he's on mental steroids, people. But people were like, oh, this is good. He's going to waste it. I'm like, really? I don't feel that way at all. I feel fan-flippin-tastic. Fantastic about it. So, yeah. Let's see what else we got here. What's going on, everybody? That's me saying many issues this morning. My apologies. Dev, what's going on? Nice to see you. Morning, Farzi. Happy we got Barkley. I think it came down to the total package. A running back that can block. You can also block. I think they land CJ GJ next. Curious about Reddick and Sweat moving. I think Sweat gets traded. I think Reddick gets restructured. And I think CJ GJ is going to be about that right price for your Philadelphia Eagles. Mike is right. Hard to argue. What a nice day that was yesterday that Howie went to work and brought in, I think you're supposed to say, or what you meant, brought in what could be a grand slam once all put together, but let's see how it works out first before we get it in our. There's no let's see here, Mike. There's no let's see. IBH, what's going on? Blue 26 jerseys aflame. I do love any video of someone burning an old jersey. Get a safety to linebacker. Yes, please, says Robert. I agree. Need a cornerback, safety, and linebacker. Eric Wisniewski, I concur. Fitness Warrior. Do you know how much the Eagles have left to sign a safety and linebacker? Officially, no. I don't. Not yet. All I know is it ain't going to be they ain't breaking the bank. Put it that way. Oh, Eric Wisniewski, I'm calling Barkley 1,300 rush yards, 7 touchdowns, 380 yards catching, 3 touchdowns. Super Bowl, baby. All right, Eric Wisniewski. Now, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I don't want any let's sees here. Scary move. This offense has more elite talent. Oh, boy. Defense won't cost them too much. Yep, I agree. Says Danquan Barkley. Very nice. Was Swift going to the Bears? Howie had to go for Saquon. Yeah, especially if they get Marvin Harrison Jr. Go! Swiss cheese offensive line with the Giants. Absolutely. I work with a Giants fan, and I'm sorry he looked like he wanted to cry. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Corey, dude isn't worth $15 million a year. This means same old-ish with linebackers and safeties. They're going to bring in a bunch of – yeah, man, but I'll tell you right now, they ain't going to be – I'll tell you, Vic Fangio or not, this Eagles' best defense is going to be a strong offense. Did I say strong? Dominant offense. Hopefully Huff replaces Sweat. Quan Poole, I agree. I think that's what it boils down to. Like signing depending on who he's replacing. I mean, I like the signing. Even if I tell you both guys aren't back, which I don't think is going to happen, this is still a great signing. The only thing I will say as a let's see, if you will, is the idea of Bryce Huff having one great year. He's had one great year. And in that one great year, did everything that he was supposed to. Like, I'll put it to you like this. If you had a zone corner brought in that all of a sudden had to play a hell of a lot more man-to-man, then that would be scary. Well, right now, you have a pass-rushing edge rusher, okay, defensive end, in Bryce Huff coming here who has not played on rundowns. That's scary. 41% of the snaps last year? Yeah, that's scary. And you just gave him, what, $51.1 million? Mally, smoke him if you got him. Oh, I got him, baby. April. What's going on, April? Giants fan, big mad. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. It's great. Fari show sucks. Yeah, that Fari guy, he sucks. But that Farzi guy, he's pretty amazing. Fitness Warrior, CJGJ is not trash. I agree. He's definitely not trash. What makes you so confident about Saquon? He's awesome. He's running behind what will be still a pretty damn good offensive line. That makes me confident. A great player playing behind a great offensive line with a multitude of weapons. Yeah, that's what makes me so confident. Oh, and you also have an offensive coordinator that knows what the hell he's doing, so that also helps. A QB's best friend is the stud running back, Joe Matty. Absolutely. 16 days till opening day. There you go. Eagles need Queen. I'd love to see it happen. I just don't have confidence. Bless how it's up. Buddy Christ. Thank you. Oh. God forgive. What's up? Play option going to be a symphony. Oh, can't wait. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome as per usual. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. To end the show, we're going to have our interview here. It's about 20 minutes with our friend Andrew DiCecco of Inside the Birds. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Now, Andrew, thanks for coming on, man. How you been?
Mark, good to be with you, man. Just sort of, working the phones as I always do and trying to keep up with everything that's going on in the process.
It's a crazy day. In all honesty, let's start with just Bryce Huff right out of the gate here. Your reaction, 10 sacks last year, a bit of a speedster to say the absolute least, coming off the edge, a multitude of moves that he likes to use on offensive linemen. What was your reaction to the Eagles getting a guy that they were very much after?
Well, this was a player that we'd heard that there was some mutual interest, and sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, oftentimes. And the Eagles prioritized the trenches. So when I saw that come through, I mean, you can't help but wonder what that means for Josh Sweat, Hassan Reddick. I mean, 3 years, $51 million. That tells you that one of those players isn't going to be here. But looking at Bryce Huff, this is a player that I got a chance to see at the East-West Shrine Bowl in 2020. A little bit of an undersized player, but really good hand usage, really good understanding of how to use his pad level and leverage, really explosive off the line. But then when you look at his career with the Jets, he wasn't drafted, which shocked me. I thought he was going to be a late day 3 guy. But nevertheless, he was somebody that didn't really emerge until last season, where he had 10 sacks on playing just 42% of the snaps. So he was a complimentary player there. The Eagles seem to be signing him to be a preeminent player on their defense. So you want to see are they paying for a projection? And you have to see how that's going to play out, because he really hasn't. He started 7 games in the NFL, 7.5 sacks prior to last season. But I mean, if you're paying on upside and projection, and you're trying to catch him on the ground floor, I think that's a really good signing.
2 things. First thing I want to focus on of the things you said right there. Didn't start a single game last year. Right. 10 sacks, didn't start a single game last year. And you mentioned, this is a big pay bump for this young man, an undrafted player. But first off, Brandon Graham, I think, started maybe 1 game last year. Just as a comparison, but obviously you're going to have a guy here in Bryce Huff making top dollar here. When it comes to the motor, is this one of these guys that the Eagles have gone after in years past, the undersized guys from Hugh Douglas to Brandon Graham that just has that high motor and that's what they're after?
I think so, but this is a player who is, I think he's an ascending player, and that's what the Eagles seem to be. My sense going into free agency is that they're going to be targeting players who are ascending, they're hitting their prime, and they're going to use them as future building blocks, and they're going to continue to grow with them. And to me, he's more of a high motor guy, someone who I think that Vic Fangio is going to use in a creatively. And I'm interested to see what they're able to do with them. But I also want to see where the next domino is going to fall, and what does that mean for Sweat and or Hassan Reddick?
Yeah, certainly. And we'll get to those names. Now, the second thing, we love the underdog in Philadelphia. They won a Super Bowl with that whole mantra. We all know the story there. And, of course, Jason Kelce just shouted out the underdog mentality in his incredible retirement speech. Bryce Huff is that guy. He is that underdog. You mentioned he is an undrafted guy. Did not get invited to the Senior Bowl. This guy didn't get invited to the Combine either. His pro day got canceled, I believe, because of COVID.
Yeah,
and one thing after another, including busting up his shoulder in high school. This guy has fought back from so many different things. A lot of adversity, has continuously been that underdog. And if Nick Sirianni loves that dog mentality, he seems to be the type of player that really has it.
Yeah, you're getting a hungry player, someone who's never had anything given to him, as you alluded to nicely. And I've got a chance to really study him throughout the draft process. And I always have an affinity for those late round guys. And I take pride in identifying that talent. And he's someone that always jumped out when I watched the tape. He plays with his hair on fire, and he just has that relentless motor. And I always thought that if he was able to sort of refine those skills, a team might have something. Now, I viewed him as a complimentary pass rusher, situational guy, but obviously the Eagles see him as much more than that. And I'm interested to see where his career goes from here.
How does he fit in with Vic Fangio? How does all this come together?
Well, I think that you got your starting edge rusher there, and now I just don't know who that's going to displace. But he's going to be someone that he leans on heavily. Vic Fangio doesn't lean on the blitz much, so he's going to kind of he's going to be creative in how he uses them and disrupts the run and things like that. Now, I said the run. That's not an area in which he's very proficient in, so that's something to keep an eye on. But then again, Hassan Reddick wasn't as equipped to stop the run either. You're paying for pressure on the quarterback, and he's going to be able to provide that, and he's going to deploy him in some creative ways.
So how does this end then when it comes to Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick? What does this mean for those two rushers?
Well, I think that if you're looking at it in terms of which player is going to yield more, I would say Josh Sweat. He's a younger player. I think he has more upside, but he also has the knee injury, so you have to wonder long term, where does that leave him? And if you're a team looking to invest in him, I don't know. And you're the Eagles. You have to decide on both players. I think you would want to keep Hassan Reddick, who is a dominant player. Josh Sweat, like I said, you don't know how long his career is going to go. But I think that right now, just based on pure athleticism, remember, he's more scheme versatile than Hassan Reddick. So I think that also has some appeal as well. But both players have to shed that stigma of being a part of that demise last season, that skid. And I think that the teams have to sort of overcome that and be all right with the player. But I think Josh Sweat would be the one, if I had to pick one, that would be on the outs.
Gotcha. Am I crazy? Just going back and watching some of the Bryce Huff footage, were they running some wide nine scheme up there in New York?
Yeah, I mean he could do it all. They use him, and that's really where he's best equipped to thrive. But again, I think he's another player that you can move him all around, and that's what makes him so appealing. But if you're looking at it on the other side, I think that limited production, when you're comparing it to players who played 74% in Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat, who played 71% of the snaps last season, you want to see what he's going to be able to do with a larger sample size. So that might be the one caveat when you're looking at the signing in its totality.
Yeah, one of the examples you got to bring up is just in the Eagles game alone last year, that dreaded Eagles game, of course. He had a sack on Driscoll, of course, coming on the right side, and then he also had a sack on Jordan Mailata, or at least a pressure on Jordan Mailata later in the game as well. So something to keep an eye on as the season approaches, and we go through the rest of the offseason. Saquon Barkley. Andrew, oh my goodness. It was one of those things where I was checking multiple Twitter accounts and whatever when it broke, because I was sure that the Eagles did not just sign a running back at an average annual salary of about $15 million. And sure enough, here we are. Look, the Bryce Huff does not shock me. The Eagles were rumored to be interested in him. The Saquon Barkley stuff does shock me despite the rumors, because I thought they were just strictly trying to drive up the price for the Cowboys or even the Giants for a return there or anybody else. Were you shocked despite the noise leading into the Saquon Barkley acquisition?
When I saw the numbers, I kind of had your reaction. I wanted to make sure that it was a legitimate account and I wasn't getting got, around
right.
the time of year. But when I saw the numbers, I was completely blown away. Obviously, it's a deviation from the traditional team building philosophy for this team. But I think that it speaks to the notion that Howie Roseman's willing to pay for elite talent. And that's what they got in Saquon Barkley. It's the player who is a game-breaking, dynamic, explosive player. He provides a physical element up the middle, which the team has sorely lacked in recent years. And he's a 3-down running back, can catch the football. It's the player who caught 91 passes as a rookie. I think with Kellen Moore, you're going to see a lot more passes to the running backs and things like that. And I just think that he can provide such a different dimension and alleviate some of the pressure for Jalen Hurts. So you're getting a player who you can really build around offensively.
Look, I know the numbers haven't been there consistently because of injury, because it's the Giants also, and they haven't exactly been great over the last couple of years as well. But I think he's one of the most talented running backs you could have in the NFL, like without question, talent-wise, certainly. But it's a matter of whether or not you can accumulate the stats to prove just how talented you really are. You mentioned the Kellen Moore offense. We have seen running backs come here in Philadelphia, not at the ilk, of course, that you have of a guy like Saquon Barkley. But do you think he'll get that opportunity to put up those numbers again, similar to the way he was able to do in his rookie season?
I do. And there's a misconception that Kellen Moore is averse to running the football. But I would point folks to the Dallas Cowboys and look at some of the seasons, particularly the 2020 and 2021 season, where Ezekiel Elliott was where he ranked in terms of carries and of that season. And I think that tells you that if everything's running as it's supposed to, you're going to see a cohesive offense that's going to lean on their players such as Saquon Barkley now, AJ Brown. They're going to facilitate the ball and put the players in the best position to be successful. And I like what he also did with Tony Pollard, throwing him the football, which is what another element that you're going to see here, a new wrinkle. But they're going to give him the football. You don't pay a player that kind of money to be a decoy, right? He's going to be a focal point of the offense, and there's going to be some times where he's going to be able to take a game over. And I think that when you look at what the Eagles did last year with DeAndre Swift and minimizing the wear and tear, they did a really good job at doing that. Now, you can argue how they manufactured the touches. I think that he should have been more involved in the passing game. But Saquon Barkley is going to, if they use him right and they use him in a rotation, this is a really explosive player that's going to take a lot of people by surprise, just given, he's coming from New York where they didn't have a good offensive line. They weren't able to really generate any consistency. But in Philadelphia with Jeff Stoutland, the run game coordinator, it's going to be lights out.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And I'm trying to be objective as possible. I'm excited to have this immensely talented player. I understand it's a good chunk of change here for Saquon Barkley. And I'm trying to, take the Philadelphia Eagles out of it and just say, if this guy signed for this money elsewhere, would I just be laughing that they dedicated that much money to a running back? And we know, right. Okay. All right. So I'm not alone in that. So is this all in all? I understand if I'm telling you yesterday, Saquon Barkley is going to be on the Eagles in the upcoming season. Are you excited, or are you saying how much money?
I say, what's the price point look like? What's the price tag? Because I knew that knowing what he was probably going to command, I didn't think that, and I'm not alone in this. A lot of folks didn't envision how he'd been able to dole out significant, exorbitant, chunk of change to bring a running back in. I thought that safety, which I still view as the top priority on this football team, as being the focal point, and they still haven't signed a safety, and they instead went with a running back. Pass rusher, I'm not surprised about. But yeah, but that, like I said, that speaks to how the Eagles view Saquon as an elite talent, and they already have plans on how to use him properly. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. But I think you're going to see him used a lot more cohesively in the flow of in the offense, as opposed to DeAndre Swift, where they kind of bumbled their way through the season and how they used him. I didn't think that they maximized his skill set.
I 100% agree, and I think most of the Philadelphia Eagle fan base would agree with that as well. When it comes to the offensive line, we know about Jason Kelce, of course. Cam Jurgens taking over the center spot. Tyler Steen, most likely the starting right guard. I assume you would say that's pretty much a shoo-in right now, depending on what happens in the upcoming draft?
Yeah, I mean, look, I was looking at free agency, and John Runyon Jr. was a player that going into it, I wrote about him this morning, that I thought that he made a lot of sense. Now, I saw John Runyon Sr. at the combine, and I said, "Is your son getting ready for for free agency?" And he smiled. He goes, "We got Drew," as in Drew Rosenhaus. So I said, "Oh, okay." That's he's going to price himself right out of the Eagles market, but. Yeah, I think that they do need to add some competition there at right guard. I don't know that you can go into the season and putting all your eggs in the Tyler Steen basket, much like what they did last season with the Kobe Dean for a vastly unproven player. They put him in against Dallas and they tapped him on the shoulder. They said, "All right, Tyler, we're going to go back to Sua." So you want to see how he comes back from the offseason, but you also want to have a contingency plan. I think you need to go through the draft and get a player in there. I would expect them to address it probably in the earlier rounds to compete. And who knows? Landon Dickerson, they could view him as a center for all we know. He can do both. And so it's you want to have as many talented players there. Remember, they may lose Sua Opeta and Jack Driscoll through free agency, so they're going to have to add bodies there anyway. But I think you're going to see a competition there at right guard. They're certainly not going to just hand the baton over to Tyler Steen.
Who is, so I would assume then, of the question marks on that offensive line, Tyler Steen would be the bigger question mark as opposed to Cam Jurgens taking over the center spot.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty confident in Cam. I thought he did some really good things, particularly down the stretch last season. Now, playing center, we haven't really seen a whole lot of that at the pro level. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered as we move forward here. But I think that what you've seen, he's a technician. Kelsey vouched for him. He's been in the system for a couple of years. He's worked with Stoutland. I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt that he's going to kind of take over. And I don't want to say not miss a beat because Jason Kelsey was the heartbeat of that offensive line for so many seasons, but I think he's going to be just fine.
Now, officially, we're still in the tampering area here for the Eagles.
Right.
So it looks like the Eagles are going to pay a running back a lot of money. So what's next? They paying a linebacker next? What happens next with this Philadelphia Eagles team in free agency?
Well, this is like opposite. This is like opposite day, like in Seinfeld. Yeah. So you would think that Patrick Queen's going to be next, right?
Right. Yeah.
That
Summer of Howie. Just do the opposite. Summer of Howie. Anyway, yeah,
that would be the most shocking. But I think that they really need to address safety. And going into this, back in February, I even identified Cam Curl from the Commanders as an ideal fit from a price point, from a scheme, from a schematic fit. He's been, somebody put it to me that he's the ultimate, QB of the defense back there. And they said he's smart as hell. So that's the way that it was put to me. And you see it on tape. Really good story of development from a 7th round pick. One of the more underrated defensive backs in the NFL, hasn't gotten the love that he deserves. And I think that he's probably the best equipped to step in here and execute what Vic Fangio is going to look to do defensively. And I also think that they have to add another safety because they only have Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown's coming off an ACL, and they only have a couple future signings in Tristan McCollum and Mekhi Garner. So Jordan Fuller from the Rams would be a bargain signing that you could probably bring in there. Now, he's not overly athletic, but he actually is the player who wore the green dot in his second season in the NFL. He's tough, he's physical, and he's a good leader. So if you can kind of get two players, one on the higher end and one on the mid-range, I think that you're doing well for yourself.
That sounds pretty good to me. When it comes to the starting corner positions, while I have you, Andrew, there's some speculation about James Bradbury. I know a lot of people made a big deal out of what Howie said at the Combine about, James Bradbury's in our plans. No, he said he's under contract, which is literally next to nothing. He said next to nothing about James Bradbury. So when it comes to James Bradbury, are you in the school that he's here next year or the Eagles are going to move on from him?
I think they're going to move on from him. Sometimes you can't take everything they say, at face value. But, James Bradbury is a player who is a phenomenal interview. I really enjoyed talking to him, getting to know him over the past couple of seasons. And he's one of the smartest players I've ever interviewed. But I can't recall as drastic a drop-off going from all-pro to a player who couldn't cover anybody last season. And he couldn't run with anybody. I have a hard time envisioning him back here. Now, the question becomes who takes his spot then? I thought Keely Ringo did some good things, but he's still an unproven player. I thought Eli Ricks did some good things. I got to know him a lot last year with my rookie diary, but he's still an unproven player. So I think that they're going to have to address it through the draft. There's not a whole lot of enticing free agent options. Christian Fulton from formerly of the Tennessee Titans, is a guy you might want to look at. Kenny Moore from a nickel corner perspective is somebody they may want to look at because they need help there. But I don't see James Bradbury coming back. You're not just going to bounce back once you reach the 30-year-old range, and you're not going to be able to help your short area quickness or your long speed. You're not going to be able to refine that. So I think that he's kind of shot, for lack of a better term.
Gotcha. Yeah, as far as that goes. Last thing I have for you here, Andrew, and it's a question that a lot of people are knocking around right now because they're worried about the money. I know I always tell people don't worry about the money. You don't know who's going to get restructured. You don't know how he's going to do as far as moving money around here. But when it comes to DeVonta Smith, big deal for a running back. You have big money under on A.J. Brown as well. Jalen Hurts, of course, has gotten paid. What does this mean for DeVonta Smith and his future as a Philadelphia Eagle?
Well, I don't think DeVonta is going anywhere. I think they're going to lock him in, but he's a first-round pick, so you have a little bit more time with him, and I think they're going to work with him. I'm pretty sure that the two sides have been communicating. He's somebody that's going to be a piece of the Eagles' offense for the foreseeable future, and it may just be like, hey, your money's coming. Just be patient with us. We got to try to build up the rest of the roster and make it ready for contention again. But I wouldn't worry about DeVonta Smith. That'll get taken care of.
I would think so. I'm with you there. Everyone, you better be following Andrew DiCecco when it comes to draft breakdowns, Birds breakdowns in general, all on Inside the Birds Network, or as I like to call it with our friend Jeff Mosher, the Inside the Birds Empire. Make sure you guys are following all that. And one last thing, hey, tell that Moshe, I don't need that headline that he put on your story there yesterday. Of I don't even want to say the full name, but Michael Jordan was once on a team that had this name, but I'm not saying it.
Let me tell you this. So let me tell you this. The Eagles signed linebacker Zach Bond, formerly of the Saints, while we were speaking. So,
oh, my goodness. Look at you breaking the news to me just like that. Okay, so thumbs up, thumbs down on that acquisition.
I like Zach Bond, but I have to look into it a little bit more. I have to watch the tape from last season and see how what he showed on the film. But I think he's a big-bodied guy. I remember scouting him through the draft, and I liked him quite a bit, but I have to see how it translated through his pro years.
Gotcha. Andrew DiCecco, thank you so much. Once again, make sure you guys are following Andrew DiCecco right there at Andrew DiCecco on social media, Twitter as well right there, and Inside the Birds, InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew, thanks so much, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.